and good evening. Welcome to our panel discussion today on one of the most important themes of our time, the living constitution and how flexible is India's supreme law in a changing society. So, before we begin, I'm just going to wait for a couple of minutes for some people to join into the live stream. So basically, today's topic is about India's constitution, which was crafted more than 7 decades ago. Yet it continues to govern a nation experiencing unprecedented transformation from technological disruption and digital rights to evolving social identities, shifting federal dynamics, and new interpretations of equality and liberty. Today's conversation brings together legal experts to examine how constitution adapts where interpretation meets limitation and how judicial philosophy shapes the future of rights and governance. We have two speakers today, two panelists today. One of them is yet to join us, but we have Advocate Saurabh Sharma with us, who has over 2 decades of stellar legal experience, and he has earned accolades as a strategic legal expert, and he is also a TEDx speaker. Under his leadership, GASSP Legal has been named Most Trusted Law Firm of the Year 2024. So, welcome to today's discussion, sir. It's a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much.
To begin the discussion today, my first question would be, India's constitution is called a living document. So, can you explain to our audience what that truly means?
Uh, Being a living document means that it is flexible in nature. It evolves as per the needs and hour of the society, the country. Whenever there is a new challenge faced regarding the fundamental rights of the citizens, or a new challenge comes as the recent pandemic came to the
Yeah.
country. So, as per that, new amendments and changes have to be made to the constitution. That is why it is called flexible, dynamic, and changing as per the times.
Right. So when it comes to, flexibility, like you mentioned, how much flexibility should judges have while interpreting constitutional practices?
The basic structure, doctrine, as you know, the basic structure, the foundation of the constitution should not be disturbed.
Right.
Anything above that can be done, any amendment can be done, but the basic structure should not be disturbed. The approach of the court should be aligned with the constitutional policies and principles.
Okay. And when it comes to the Constitution, how well do you think the Constitution handles the modern center state conflicts on, say, tax, law enforcement, or education?
Well, practically, it works. A federal structure works beautifully only when we have the same ruling party in the center as well as the state. Otherwise, there
Yeah.
is conflict always.
Right.
The state promises sky high hopes to the citizens, but is unable to fulfill them because of the conflict with the central government.
Hmm.
So ideally in India, it only practically works when the same political party governs both the center and the state. And otherwise, in our constitution, there is a clearly defined scope of both state and the center. Look, there is a difference between competitive and cooperative federalism.
Yeah.
There should be the government should aspire for a cooperative federalism. Only then they can fulfill whatever they promise. And the governmental organs, they derive their authority from and they discharge their duties within the framework of the constitution.
Right. Do you think cooperative federalism still holds relevance in today's day in our country?
Yes, it does, but the practical hurdles are to be crossed,
Right. Right.
because the political parties have to think in the larger frame of things.
Hmm.
They do not have to only see their own vested interest. Then only if the two governments are in sync with the progress of the state, only then the federal structure can continue in the progressive manner.
Right. And when we talk about amending the constitution, do you think India's amendments till now, we've had many amendments till now. Do you think that they have strengthened or diluted our constitutional values?
Well, uh, there have been around 100 amendments to the constitution now, and adaptation to the new rights, like the right to privacy. By the 24th amendment, the property rights were reclassified as from fundamental rights to legal rights.
Right.
Article 13 affirms that laws contradicting fundamental rights are void,
Hmm.
ensuring their protected status. So the amendments are important
Yeah.
with the need of the hour.
Right. Right.
Yes.
And then when it comes to, crisis like pandemics, national security, how are rights versus safety? How do you think they need to be balanced in such scenarios?
Well, social welfare is of utmost importance.
Right.
The fundamental rights of an individual cannot be given more weightage than the social welfare
Right.
of the public interest or the society at large.
Right.
Like if you give the example of pandemic during COVID-19, no person could claim his fundamental right to movement
Hmm.
and not be confined in his house
Correct.
because there was danger of him contracting COVID-19 and spreading it across.
Right. Right.
So that is how the balance has to be struck.
Mm-hmm. So, in such scenarios, the social welfare takes precedence over a personal
Yes, yes,
citizen's right.
certainly, certainly,
Right.
certainly.
And how should constitutional morality guide future judgments, according to you?
Look, morality in law has no space.
Right.
We have to go by the word of the law.
Right.
Let's not confuse between, I mean, you are hinting towards the Sabrimala case, but let's not confuse the religious belief with morality.
Yeah.
The conflict was not between morality and the fundamental rights, but between a religious practice and the fundamental rights, where the fundamental rights prevailed over the religious beliefs. Right? The practice of excluding women based on biological factors was
Hmm.
declared unconstitutional. It was not the morality of the act. It was the fundamental rights of equality of women. The gender bias was given away,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so that was declared unconstitutional.
Correct. And then when we look at inclusivity and representation, do you think the
Mhm.
constitutional adequately protects marginalized groups today, like gender, based on gender, caste, disability, identity?
Look, as very inception of the discussion we said,
Yeah.
it is a fluid concept.
Right.
You know, so with the times, the protection of the minorities has been done always in our constitution,
Right.
and as the need would arise, the changes and amendment to the constitution would be done. Like
Right.
scheduled castes are given protection, but now there's a lot of talk that creamy layer of the scheduled caste should be excluded from the reservation. Right. So with the need of the hour, with the changing times, the protection has to be either marginalized, it has to be restricted or expanded as per the need of the hour.
Right. So, I mean, then equality also, maybe, do you think needs to be reinterpreted with different times as we go ahead? Do you think that equality then will keep getting reinterpreted as we go ahead, as new minority groups come ahead, as we evolve as a society?
Mhm. Could you please elaborate that question?
Yeah, so I mean, like we were talking about how the constitutional protects marginalized groups today, right? And with evolving times, we have introduced, or we have tried to protect more and more such groups, and more and
Yes.
more such groups are included. So
Mhm.
then I think the next question would be, then equality also then probably should be reinterpreted when it comes to emerging social movements.
Look, if there is a need for protection of such a marginalized community,
Yeah.
which would arise in future,
Right.
no, so the protection would be provided as per the requirements of the times.
Right.
if you consider the latest technology, there there would be a new generation who would totally rely on AI and
Yeah,
not they would not be used to the physical modes of doing things. And you never know that tomorrow they might raise a movement of being a marginalized society and would seek their rights to use AI and not living in the their right to living in a virtual world. That would be,
right.
I mean, that is an exaggeration, but still that can
Yeah.
be a consideration in the times to come. And then there might be an interpretation of right to equality of such
Correct, correct. So we
people.
have Advocate Adhiraj Surana who's also joined us. So welcome, sir, to the discussion. I know you've joined us midway, but we were actually having a conversation about constitution and the inclusivity and representation that it provides to marginalized groups. So maybe you can start with giving your inputs on that. My question was, should equality be reinterpreted to include emerging social movements? If you can give your thoughts on that
Sorry, can you
first.
please repeat? Your voice was
Yeah,
cracking in the middle. Yeah.
yeah. So I was saying that we were talking about inclusivity and representation in the Constitution, and we were kind of
Okay.
having a discussion on whether Constitution adequately protects marginalized groups today, and should equality be reinterpreted to include emerging social movements.
Sorry, I lost you again. Sorry about that. Sorry
Can you
about
hear
that.
me now? Can
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I can hear you. I did not get the last part.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I said, should equality be reinterpreted in to include emerging social movements?
Most definitely, most definitely. We have now movements for gender equality in all the sectors of the society,
Yeah.
whether it's a corporate world or whether it's a society in large.
Yeah.
So, of course, we need to. I mean, we have made provisions. Supreme Court has made provisions for inclusivity of third gender as well.
Hmm.
Now that the interpretation needs to take care of its own amendments itself. We need to
Right.
include equality gender basis, but we have already made amendments when it comes to inclusivity of reservation for women
Right.
in a 33%. When it comes to other
Right.
inclusivity, economically weaker section needs to be inclusive on a larger scale,
Yeah.
along with gender equality has to take place. That probably an equity on the basis of um, I per se qualification requirements and all those things also need a place in constitution amendments itself. That's what
Right.
I feel.
Right. Um, and we were then, kind of, we're, I mean, edging towards the end of the discussion. So, we'll kind of talk about the future of the Constitution also. So, what, according to you, are the principles that are most likely to evolve in this next decade? Anyone is free to take up the question.
Advancements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are going for technological advancements. So first and foremost, right to privacy needs to be reinterpreted. As
Right.
of now, I mean, right to privacy is there under the right of life and liberty under Article 21A. But I mean, on the ground level, we are implementing data protection laws, we are implementing right to privacy through various judgments and all. But we have a long, long way to go when we see the executive part of it being grounded on the reality. So I
Yeah.
think that needs to be reenacted, that needs to be redefined, and not only on the theoretical level but on a practical level as well. I mean, I can just quote from the top of my head that probably Denmark or Netherlands have recently passed a statute in which they have given every citizen their right to their own own body or own pictures
Yeah.
from being faked, used, or being manipulated by AI and all. So I think they have already taken that train, that journey ahead of us, and we need to follow the follow that lane, because I think slowly and slowly every country, every nation is going to fall in line with that kind of things being misused over a period of time with the emergement of AI. That's
Mhm.
what my take is.
Right. Advocate Saurabh Sharma, what do you think about
Yes,
that?
I would like to add to this that the doctrine of reasonable restrictions needs to be enforced more rigidly
Yeah.
uh, regarding the use of AI, because by
Hmm.
the use of AI, a loss of job opportunities are going. The people who are doing the jobs which are now being done by AI are losing their jobs, and financial
Right.
independence, they're losing their financial independence. So provisions are to be made that anyone who uses AI and causes a loss of employment to such people will have to make provision for their financial independence as well.
Generated. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
restrictions should be imposed on the social media posts that are being done. There are people who are posting so many reels regarding religious temples and beliefs which have no base at all, no Vedic sentiments.
Hmm.
They are indirectly hurting the religious sentiments of the people without giving anyone realizing it. Youngsters
Yeah.
who have no idea what they are following are blindly following such influencers, and that is
Yeah.
something to be taken care of. And there is no way that you can control a portal like a YouTube where youngsters fall prey to all sort of videos without any filter being there. So some legislation is to be done to protect the fundamental rights of those young people who are the viewers of such channels.
Yeah.
And then another thing I would like to add is the Google ads. They put an ad of anyone who pays them.
Hmm.
They have no filter, and most of the online frauds are done through those ads.
Right.
Again, Article 21 comes into play, but there is no restriction on such ads.
Right.
And the right to life, if I may say so, would include in the future not to be affected by someone who holds the mobile phone. My right to be gadget free will
Hmm.
have to be enforced by a constitutional amendment in the future, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're talking about
Yeah,
AI and having laws about it, but I think we're still quite behind with our digital privacy laws in the sense that we still don't have a lot of regulations when it comes to these platforms, like you were saying, YouTube, or it may be any other social media platform. We still don't have very strict laws that govern these platforms. And I think another biggest problem that we have is misinformation that is spread across these platforms. And we've had so many,
Yes.
like you mentioned, scams and frauds happening because of this. And we don't have strong enough laws that govern this. I think so. I mean,
I think there's no constitutional policy itself when it
yeah,
comes to digital media.
right,
I mean, unlike China, we don't have anything of our own. Everything is owned by either Meta or Google or
right,
somebody outside our country. And they are controlling that. They're controlling the narrative along with it. And we don't have not only, stricter laws, but we don't even have the policies as to what happens when things go south by them on a
yeah,
corporate level or on the executive level itself. I think recently Australia has started banning Instagram for 15 years old or 16 years
yeah,
old.
they have, yes,
Yeah, they have just recently done it. Like, I think day before yesterday or something. So I think every country is coping with that kind of mechanism. Probably sooner or later we'll have to join them. But I don't know. I mean, when will that happen is still a bigger question to ask.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think we can't ignore the fact that these digital platforms are a big part of our life, and we cannot just not have any regulations in our country. And there have to be some sort of repercussions or consequences of any type of these things happening on the platform.
Definitely, I think like the GST was introduced in the 104th Amendment, we need to technological laws as to what's going to be
Right.
the parameters as to how it's going to be business formatted, or how is it going to be implemented, what all people are going to use it, how is it
Yeah.
going to be curbed and checked and measured about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'd like to take some of the audience questions that we have. So, someone has asked, do you see the judiciary becoming more diverse in terms of gender, caste, and religious representation? And how might that shape constitutional interpretation? Anyone can take it up. Both of you, I would like if you could
Sir,
answer that.
I would like you to initiate if you're okay with it.
Yes, the courts have been more than liberal in interpreting and providing the equality to the gender. I mean, all the genders and the other LGBTQ community as well. There have been so many legislation and Supreme Court and High Court rulings now. So they are in alignment with Article 21, right to life of the Constitution of India. Yeah, you may
See, I think
continue, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think the inclusion of gender equality when it comes to whether LGBTQ representation or women representation or for that matter and all, I think it's quite far as of now. We have made amendments in terms of parliament representation at least for women for 33%, but
Hmm.
that has still not been implemented in the judiciary when it comes to that effect. Religious inclusion, of course, it has. Yes, it is there. It is the representations are already there when it comes to providing quotas and everything.
Yeah.
But as you go above the hierarchy, I have been a very provocative advocate on these terms when it comes to courts of the Supreme Court. I
Yeah.
strongly believe if there can be examinations trainings at a lower level, there can be equal examinations and trainings for higher levels as well. We directly appoint judges in the high court, we directly appoint judges in the Supreme Court. Why can't we have an examination or a training, or just a quid pro quo type of situation in which something can be done if the lower judiciary is being uh, you know trained about the situations, if they are being appointed after taking examinations and all over a period of time with developments, even the higher judiciary needs that. So
Right.
yes, when it comes to inclusions in terms of genders, in terms of caste, in terms of regional things and all, representations are taking place slowly, and slowly they are progressing. Of course, we are quite far away from that kind of inclusions because we already don't have enough manpower in the judiciary. So that's going to affect. Yes, as we say that, it's going to happen whether we like it or not, and I think it's going to happen for good. Slowly and slowly, when representations like this happen, it's going to have a good impact and a positive impact in the society. That's
Right.
what I feel.
Right. Um, Next, someone has asked, should India consider adding explicit environmental or climate rights to the constitution, given the global climate crisis? I mean, even right now, I think Supreme Court's going to hear, they're going to have a hearing about the even what's happening in Delhi and the situation in Delhi. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the right to life is already in force, and they are all these issues are covered under the blanket right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. So, India
Cognizance
has
of that
always been
matter from time
considerate.
to time.
Yes, yes, and even NGT has been taking. They have always suggested to do artificial raining in Delhi, but
Yeah.
none of the government have been able to follow that.
Hmm. Right. So it's already part of our constitution as such.
Yes, yes,
Implementation, I think, is the problem more
Yeah.
than anything else.
yes.
Um, all right. The next question is, do you believe the anti-defection law still aligns with democratic principles, or does it limit legislators' freedom and debate? I think it is anti-defamation and not anti-defection. I'm unsure of if there is a law about anti-defection.
I would fairly admit I don't exactly know about this topic, so I would
Yeah.
refrain from commenting upon it.
All right. Even I am unsure of. All right. Maybe we can take the next question. How should the Constitution address new categories of identity, such as non-binary or gig economy
Gig
work? So
workers,
these are
economy
two
workers.
two different questions. I think one is talking about a gender and one is talking about
Yeah.
gig economy workers. But I think we can talk about the gig economy workers. Recently, also there have been.
Yes, I think recently labor laws have been
Yeah.
amended to that effect to include
Yes.
gig workers and economy workers and all.
Yeah.
So I think that inclusion is already happening by way of new,
Yes.
amendments and all.
Yeah.
But constitutional amendment probably is not required as of the moment. That's what we feel.
Not required.
It's not required. All right. I think we have kind of answered most of the questions. Unfortunately, Advocate Adiraj, you couldn't be there for most of the questions that we asked.
So sorry
Um,
for that.
but that's absolutely fine. I mean, I'm so glad you could at least join in to end the discussion. I just wanted to, from both of you, get your closing thoughts on today's topic. And we recently also had the National Constitution Day, for which we are having this discussion today. So, if you would like to give your thoughts on this discussion today.
So please, on
Well,
to you.
before we say anything, there is something called the anti-defection laws. The laws are there to prevent someone from switching the political parties, which was
Oh,
earlier a prevalent term called Ayaram Gayaram, which the most of the politicians
Okay.
used to do. So that is what is the anti-defection law. Okay,
okay.
so there they were asking whether it is against the democratic principles of the constitution or not.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is obviously an unfair practice and should always be discouraged. And it
Right.
is not against the democratic principles. So to answer whoever had asked the
Hmm.
question,
All right.
such a
But
practice should be discouraged.
just to clarify, was this a law in India before, or did this used to
No,
be?
no, it is anti-defection laws have been the need of the hour since the time the constitution has been framed.
Okay, okay. All right. Yes, sir. Please. What would you like to say to end this discussion?
I would like to say that we all believe in the constitution and the basic structure doctrine is given the utmost importance by the judiciary. Anything and everything can be built up or amended in the constitution as per the need of the hour, but the basic structure should not be disturbed, irrespective of which political party rules the state. The judiciary should always be independent and always make decisions as per the doctrines of the constitution, the dictates of the constitution.
Definitely. Advocate Adiraj.
I have mentioned this earlier as well. We had a discussion about it. I see three things which need to be foresighted and to be implemented at the need of the hour. The first is the accountability of the people implementing the policies. The second is, of course, the transparency with which the constitutional policy are being implemented. And the third thing, which I feel is a very, very important need of the hour, is inclusivity. We
Right.
need inclusivity in every aspect of the executive, legislature, and judiciary equally, whether it comes to gender, whether it comes to religious equality, whether it comes to any other thing. So that kind of inclusivity is required. But I think these are the three things probably which we need to see when we come, when we think about changes or probable amendments that we want in the constitution. But yes, I think slowly and slowly, with the progress of time, they are going to be there whether we like it or not.
Right, definitely. Well said, both of you. Thank you so much for those words. I mean, today's discussion, I think, highlights one thing, that the Indian Constitution is alive because India is alive, and its strength lies not only in the text but in its ability to grow, reinterpret, and remain relevant as our society evolves. And as we've explored through federal tensions, rights versus public interest, constitutional morality, representation, and technological upgrading, the constitution must strike a delicate balance, that is, preserve the foundational values that define our democracy and also adapt boldly to new challenges. Um, I think above all, the Constitution's evolution must continue to reflect its core promise: justice, liberty, equality, and dignity for every individual. So, thank you so much again to our panelists and audience for engaging in this critical conversation. The Constitutional may have been written in 1950, but its future will be shaped by the discussions we had today and we will keep having. So, once again, thank you so much to both of you for being a part of the discussion. It's always a pleasure to talk to both of you and have these discussions. And thank you so much to our audience for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Have a good